Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at the Obsidian Carbine, which is part of the Obsidian weapon line. And if you're wondering, the rest of the weapons that currently make up that line are the Obsidian Edge and the Obsidian Crusher. Links for the videos on those can be found in the description. Now as we take a closer look at the Obsidian Carbine, we can see that it definitely resembles the other two Obsidian weapons in that its parts are barely being held together by this pink force field running throughout the middle of the weapon. So as you can see, these parts really aren't connected in any way except by this kind of pink mist and this pink flow of energy through the gun. And if you look closely, you can also see some pink etchings in the gun that light up every once in a while, kind of a hidden message from Apocrypha. Now moving on to the gun's attacks, the basic attack is comprised of 6 shadow shots that you can fire off fairly rapidly, and the charge attack is very similar to the basic attack in its first wave in that it fires off 5 of the shadow shots, but then after the 5th shot you shoot out a wave of tentacles that grasps up from the ground, kind of looking for enemies to poison and just basically wreak havoc upon. So probably, as I've said before, the Apocrypha weapons are some of my favorite charge attacks, and this one is no different. Now, as we take a closer look and review the gun a little bit more, we can see that the gun is dealing pure shadow damage. There is no split normal damage with this weapon, you're just dealing shadow. You also have a fair chance of inflicting the moderate poison status on your enemies, and of course you have that awesome tentacle charge, which is fun to use basically in any situation. Now the cool thing about all the Obsidian weapons is that when you use their charge attack you have a pretty good chance of poisoning your enemies. And of course when you poison your enemies you deal more damage to them, and they also can't deal as much damage to you. So it's a pretty good effect to have. Another cool thing is that the Obsidian Carbine greatly resembles the Sentenza, and as you see with the Sentenza's charge attack, it flows over the tiles. The interesting thing about the Carbine is that its charge attack flows along the tiles. Now, if you are interested in picking up an Obsidian Carbine, you'll want to pay attention to the next section because the weapon is a bit more difficult to craft than your standard Spiral Knight's weapon. It's a little more difficult to craft because this is an event-specific weapon, so the rare materials needed for this weapon are only available during the time that the event is running. And when the event is running and you play the Shroud of Apocrypha Prestige mission, you'll be able to collect sigils, and all of the sigils that you've collected can then be traded in for these rare materials that will be needed to craft your Obsidian weapons. So as you see, you spend the Obsidian sigils and you get the rare materials. Now once you have the rare materials, you can come over to a crafting machine and go ahead and make your Obsidian Carbine. You'll also need a Black Hawk heated up to level 10. So, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about the Obsidian Carbine, and I'll see you guys in Spiral Knights.